let's get down to business.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get.
Oh, I make money move.
You can't see me, my time is now.
What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Fitness Times Business Podcast. I'm just going to jump straight into it. We got Aaron Pilates in the house. What's happening, Az?
Hello. Good to be back.
It is. It's your second podcast appearance. Your first was actually episode 18 of the Massive Joe Show, which was the old name for the podcast. It's now the Fitness Times Business Show or the Fitness Times Business Podcast. That was an amazing podcast. It went top 30 on iTunes. It's one of our most popular podcasts to date. If you guys have not listened to that podcast, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pause this fucking podcast right now and go back and listen to episode 18. Because not only is that going to give you a little bit of a background to Aaron Pilates, where he's come from, his kind of come up story, but it's going to tie in perfectly to what we're going to talk about today. We're going to dig a little bit deeper in a bunch of different bits and pieces. And Aaron, you've been here for the last couple of days. You've been staying with me. We spent a whole lot of time together. We've spoken about a whole bunch of shit. And it's going to make for some really good podcast content. But if you haven't listened to episode 18 of the Massive Joe Show, pause this one, go listen to that one, and then come back. And for those of you who've just done that, welcome back. Aaron, to you as well. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back. It's good to be back. I enjoy being on the podcast. It's probably my favourite thing to do while I'm down here.
It's good. It's good to record our conversations. Not all of them, but the appropriate ones. Brother, I want to get straight in to the fitness side of this podcast. You obviously qualified for the Olympia last year, 2019. You not only competed at the Olympia as the first ever IFBB Pro 212 bodybuilder Australian to ever qualify for the Olympia. So you firstly created history just by qualifying. You then went to the Olympia and you placed in the top 10 in your first ever Olympia, in your Mr. Olympia debut, which also, just to give you guys a little bit of scope, Aaron did his first pro show in March 2019, the New Zealand Pro, won the New Zealand Pro, qualified for the Olympia, went to the Indy Pro, placed second, should have won that one, but that's the topic for another time. Went to the Olympia. This is all within 9 months. Placed top 10 at the Olympia. Mate, how does that feel? How does I know you're humble and you're level-headed and you probably never take the time to think about it. But just as I'm saying that, like I'm getting fucking goosebumps just talking about that right now. How did that feel?
Well, the way you say it sounds really good. It sounds good for you telling me about it. Like sometimes I guess I just forget. But you know, when we were walking to do a cardio this morning, I was thinking when you set a goal, it's a really freaky, surreal feeling when you actually like, holy shit, I nailed that goal. You know, like my goal was actually initially when I turned pro to win a pro show within 2 years. Yeah. So I won the first one straight off the bat, and I even didn't think that was going to happen. You know, and then even the second one, arguably a lot of people said I won that one. I won prejudging, but I lost by a point and got second. So I was exceeding from the start. And then in the Olympia, I was thinking I wanted to be top 10.
How many guys in the field?
23.
23. Yeah.
So I wanted to be top 10. I thought 7th would be like an absolute best case scenario. And you know what? I was 9th, which I was over the moon with it. But a lot of people had me like 8th and around where I wanted it to be anyway. So and like 8th and 7th was Hide Yamagishi and the Brazilian, I forget his name now. So it was like Eduardo Correa. So it was like they're OGs of the sport, you know. And I was like, it to be beaten by them two, you know, and them call outs were next level. They'll put me in the middle, then Eduardo to the right, then I'll do two poses, then they put him back in the middle again, and then he was back in front of me, and my coach said it was back and forth, and he said that he outposed me, and then they put me in the middle again, and I was like, oh, this is brutal, you know, then back out again, but I was just sitting there thinking the whole time, like, holy shit, I've been watching like Eduardo and Hide for all these years, and Hide on Generation Iron, and we're going back-to-back poses, call-outs together, battling, you know, so that was a freaky, I think I was a little bit, I never really get too nervous when I compete, to be honest, like when I get up there, I'm pretty confident, but I was shooting myself a little bit when I was against them in those call-outs because I was just freaking out a little bit, so I think next time I go back, I'll be a bit more tenacious, you know, like when I usually compete, I'm really like tenacious, like ready to go, but I was a little bit fanboyish and a little bit nervous.
I can imagine.
So I think that's what happened to the first Olympia. I think I remember talking to Josh once about it, and he was a similar thing, like his first Olympia, just sort of
Josh Lenardowitz.
thinking holy shit, you know, but he wasn't enough competitive enough. Like you just sort of I've never even been to the Olympia, and I'm standing on stage.
Exactly. Your first Olympia, you didn't even go as a spectator. Your first Olympia, that on stage competing.
Yeah, so I was just too much to take in at some point. So I was just freaking out, you know. And I think when I do it next time, I'll be thinking a bit more. I need to be top 6 here, so let's turn it on. You know.
I was so that's the prejudging, right? And just for the listeners and the viewers, at the Olympia, the prejudging for the 212 is done in the expo hall. So there's a stage at the back of the expo hall, massive crowd there because obviously it's the expo crowd, and that's where the prejudging goes down. Yeah. And then from the prejudging, they pick the top 10. Yeah. Which you obviously placed in the top 10, end up finishing 9th. Yeah. And then the top 10 get to go to the Orleans Theatre on Saturday night and get to step out on the actual Olympia stage in the Orleans. I remember I was in Perth at the time that you were that you stepped on that stage. I was in Perth. I was watching a live stream and you stepped on stage, and I was like, man, that's fucking amazing. Yeah. How did that feel? Like, you know, because the prejudging is one thing, obviously, and there's a lot of work that goes into the prejudging. But then knowing that you've placed top 10, you're at the Orleans, you're backstage pumping up with not just the 212 guys at that point, but all the open guys and all of the top finalists of all the different divisions and categories. And then you step out on the Olympia stage at the Orleans in Vegas and you got the stage to yourself. Man, how does that feel?
Well, I put a lot of pressure on myself because I said to my mum and dad and my missus, I said, come to prejudging at sort of dress normal. Yeah. I said, but pack something real nice.
Just in
people
case.
Get dressed up for finals. And mum and dad like, what's that? And I'm like, no, bring a dress. Like I bought my missus, like she had like stiletto, high heels, like a fancy dress, and I bought it for the finals. Yeah. And then in my head I was like, oh, you're throwing yourself under it here because you don't make the finals. That was just a waste of time. Yeah. And then I was so nervous to getting top 10, man. And they started announcing the names. And they had announced 8 people. And it wasn't in any particular order, they said. So it wasn't first, second, third. Yeah, it's just by random. They had got to 8 and they hadn't called my name. And I was really shitting myself. I was like, oh, I haven't made it. I'm not going to make it. Yeah. And then the 9th person that they said, that Bob Ciccarello named me. Even the way he said my name, like Aaron Polides or something like that. And I was like,
Politis.
2 seconds, I'm like, oh, yes.
That's me.
And then I was like, it's not over. The day just gets better because you go home, have a rest for a bit, and then you go back to the night show and all the people outside the top 10, that's the show's over. Game over, you know? So after that, I just didn't care, man. I was just over the moon. I thought, this is the best ever. And backstage, like you say, it's just pretty freaky. I was sitting back with Patrick Moore, who's like the flavour of the year now. Yeah. He's
future, if he stays healthy, future Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, so I was sitting with him and like, you know, everyone's there, you know, Dexter, Brandon, and it's just, I just sit there looking around the room thinking, holy shit. And you see that Olympia backstage gym set up for so many years. It's exactly like you see it on YouTube and that, you know. There's reporters running around and cameras in your face and like makeup artists and there's famous people, Mark Wahlberg and like famous people backstage.
Did you have a point where you're like, is this a fucking dream? Like,
I just sat there with my headphones on and half the time the headphones had no music on them. Yeah. I just put them on and I just laid on my bag. Yeah. Because I was pretty early. Yeah. And next to Patrick, and I just sat there and I just looked around the room, just people watching for like, you know, hours on end and watching what everyone eats, what they do backstage. Like, surprisingly, it was a fair bit different to the amateurs, man. Like, they weren't eating. Yeah. You know, you see it a lot of amateur shows, like everyone's what they do is they panic eat. Yeah. At amateur shows, they get nervous.
We were just talking about this like 10 minutes ago.
They start smashing lollies and salt. I need more salt, I need more chill, and everyone's smashing rice cakes. Backstage Olympia, man, I didn't see anyone eat for like an hour and a half, nothing. Yeah. At all, zero. Yeah. And then I seen a couple of guys pulling some rice cakes out. Very bland, basic stuff. And there's no hocus pocus going on. Like you see amateur shows, people eating everything under the sun. So that was one thing I took note of. Like, they were all just ready and they don't want to bloat their guts pre-stage or anything like that. So
you're ready at that point. What are you going to do?
Goes to show you, I think a lot of the amateurs are panic eating.
That's the difference between professionals and amateurs, man.
And they look around the room and they think, oh, this guy's good, I'm too flat, but they're just smaller, and they just start eating more.
Yeah.
So
and destroy their condition.
Yeah, but it was, and you got a TV back there as well, and you can sit and watch the people on the stage. Yeah, and it's pretty professional. When your time is up, they say everyone in line, and then they count you down. Like when you get up to your bit. Yeah. Like I couldn't explain that moment, man. I just sat there talking to myself like, this is the moment you've made it. This is it. It's all done. Like all those days of suffering, I've been picturing this in my head. Like every day, bro, obsessed over this moment. When you're about to walk up the stairs. Yeah. You know, and you walk through the O. I think, I dreamed about that my whole, that's a surreal thing. And then he'll go to you, you ready? And he'll count you down, 10, 9, 8, 7, and there's like cameras everywhere, and then you hear your name, last name, please, and then you walk out. And the crowd, man, is just, it gives you chills. Like
it's
the crowd,
giving me chills right now, man.
Crowd, I just said to my dad, I was like, shit. I've been lots of shows, FitX is pretty big. Arnold's classic, and I said the crowd is just huge, man. Like, and you can't see the judges because it's so big, but the judges are like 20 meters back.
So many lights as well, right?
And there's so many lights in your face, and there's a screen to your left, and it's like a 60-foot screen of you. Yeah. So like I'm looking.
But how good is that for your back poses? Though?
It's the best for the back. I was going to say that. Yeah, I think I already told you this.
And hit your back pose.
Yeah.
Like,
So I was doing
lift my arms up a little more.
Exactly, bro. Even then, the call outs at Expo, they had a big screen. Yeah. And I do my back poses. Yeah. And I look up to the screen. I'm like, oh, I need to roll my wrist a little bit more. Yeah. There, bang, and I got it just right. Perfect. So I was sort of like cheating a bit, I guess, but you can see yourself in the mirror, in the screen. So
it's crazy to think, man, like literally 12 months ago, you go back to this time, January 2019, you were a new pro. You hadn't even competed in a pro show. Yeah. Fast forward 12 months. You've won a pro show. You've placed second in another one. You're one of the top 10 212 bodybuilders in the world, the most successful 212 bodybuilder ever in Australian history. It's fucking impressive, man. Yeah. Like legit. I get chills just talking about it, and I know the listeners and the viewers just, man, if you don't find that inspiring, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong.
The best part, like, sometimes you don't stop and smell the roses. Sometimes you do, but the best part about it is like it feels like it's my first year. I feel like I've just started again. I feel like I just hit the reset button and I've just begun. Like I feel pretty refreshed. I'm still only 30, just turned 31. So that was another thing. When I was backstage, I felt really young because they're old. A lot of them are very old. A lot of them are in their 40s or almost 40. So Derek was younger than me, and everyone else is pretty old, high 30s. So.
I want to talk, you just mentioned, I'm going to flip the script real quick on you because I want to talk about how you deal with, you mentioned, sometimes you don't stop and smell the roses. Yeah. So the Olympia's over, you placed top 10, the highest point of your career by a country fucking mile. It's what you've dreamed of, what you visualized. You go back to the episode 18 of the Massive Joe Show when you were first on the podcast. We spoke a lot about visualization and how you get to a state where you can just feel, what it feels like. That was reality, right? Show's over. You come back to Australia. How did you deal with that massive climax, that massive peak, coming back and kind of setting back into normality?
Yeah, well, the first month I come back, I was on high on life because I had 3 guest poses or 2 guest poses. Yeah, I had 2 guest poses, and I took the first one real serious, man. I was like, I did a guest pose one time before that, and I got Tony and John asked me to do it in the off season, and I was just off season condition, and I said to them, like, I'm not going to be lean, and they said that it's okay. And it was just I hated it, man. So in my back of my head, I was like, I'm going to really be serious here. So I came back and I did no carb days and keto days and on the treadmill, and I made done a really good guest pose for Queensland. I was still shredded, 3 or 4 kilos heavier, almost the same condition as Olympia. So
you kind of extended that.
Yeah, so I was still running the high, and it hadn't ended. Everyone was like freaking at that show. Everyone was giving me that was awesome, blah blah blah. Yeah. Then it happened again. They said last minute, do you want to do New South Wales? Yeah. Even though I was another 5 kilos heavier. Yeah. Did that, still running on the high. Then I had nationals, and I was coaching, so I hadn't really. It was still running off the high, Then after nationals, all my comp athletes stopped, all my coaching stopped. I went from working off my head and then prepping off my head to just blank, nothing.
It's like life just
It's
puts
just
a
like
handbrake on you.
someone just paused the movie, and it's like it was just went
Yeah.
silence. And I was detoxing, and I just you get post-comp blues. Sometimes I get post-comp blues, but I had astronomical post-comp blues.
Well, mate, the higher the high, the lower the low,
Yeah, I
right?
feel like
You've
that's
come
exactly
off,
right,
you've come off the fucking moon, you know, and it's like a pendulum. You know, you pull a pendulum in one direction, it hits you back in the other direction just as hard.
That's exactly the way.
How did you deal with that? What was your mindset?
So when I got back, I got back home and just lost my zest for life.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I was just like, work just slowed down as well. And first week after nationals was a busy week then, and then it was just like really slowed down.
Yeah.
I didn't want to train. I got to that point where I was sort of sick of the food because I was loving life because of the food. The food was epic. Then when I started getting sick of the food, and I was like, just didn't love anything. Didn't want to get out of bed at one point, you know. And then I was like, oh, it's a post-comp blues. I've had this before. I'll be right. But it actually got worse and worse. And what made it worse again is I hurt my shoulder. I got an injury. Yeah. I hadn't had an injury in like a year. Yeah. Hurt my shoulder at Doherty's just before I come back, my AC joint. And then I had issues. That was killing me. So then I was injured. I was unmotivated. I started putting on weight, which was just fat. Yeah, I just went through slumps like I'd never ever felt before, you know. And
so I wanna really talk about this because you know a lot of the listeners and a lot of the viewers, and we've done a lot of content on this already in this particular podcast on motivation levels. You know, how do you get yourself out of whatever causes the slump, right? You find yourself in a period of low motivation. Obviously, it was coming off the massive high of what you achieved at the Olympia, and then the guest posing and that massive high period that caused your period of low motivation. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, whatever you do, the listeners and the viewers, whatever your life looks like, you're going to go through periods of high levels of motivation, periods of low levels of motivation. Yeah. This was probably one of the lowest periods of low level motivation that you've ever experienced. How did you get yourself out of that?
Yeah. I almost turn myself into because I coach people. Yeah. I start coaching myself in my own head. Mm-hmm. You know, and when I was at my lowest, me and Jade weren't getting along well either because I was just not myself, you know. Yeah. And then it snowballs, man. Your whole life can go to shit. And
your energy transfers,
everything,
right?
Yeah, just everything just goes to shit, you know. And I just sort of started coaching myself. I'm like, all right, well, I've had this before. A lot of it can be... Sometimes your gut health can play a role in how you feel as well. Like if you're eating shit food all the time, if you're like, this is the best ice cream pizza, can't do that forever, man. Yeah. Eventually, you start getting cooked in the guts. It starts affects the signals in your brain. You get depression. And I was like, I need to clean my diet up first because I feel shitty. I wasn't hungry. I was bloated, you know. And I need to just get back in the gym because I don't want to train at the moment. But when I have those two things on point, it makes me happy, you know. Otherwise, it could really get ugly. Yeah. And I'm at the height of my career right now, so I sort of just started coaching myself and going, all right, you need to start getting out of bed earlier because I was sleeping in too much. Yeah. That's another common trait of when you start hating life. You start sleeping in. Yeah. Like I was sleeping uncharacteristically till like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. and stuff, you know. So I just started getting up earlier, dropped a bit of weight, forced myself to do cardio. Started eating cleaner and just going through the motions and training, hating it, and absolutely hating it. Yeah. And then I just thought I knew that it would just swing, and I just kept doing it. And I struggled for way longer than I thought, man. I put a post up roughly about it. I think I put an Instagram post saying, going through some struggles at the moment, but I'll get it back, you know. Yeah. I almost wanted to get back into a prep again because when I'm in a prep, I've got that monk mentality and I feel on top, so I just kept focusing on my health, getting healthier and getting better, eating cleaner food. It took about a month, even 5 weeks, man. It took me just going on robot mode. I was like, this is only going to make me feel better. I can't feel any worse. So I just kept doing cardio, eating cleaner food, and then eventually I started feeling healthier. And then I had more motivation, and then my strength started coming back in the gym. I had to get 1 million shoulder treatments, and I slowly started to sway. I watched so much bodybuilding motivation stuff and trying to get my zest back. And even when I started the prep I'm only 3 weeks in, I started the prep for the New York Pro and Indy Pro only till last week. I started getting that killer mentality back. The first 2 weeks, I was just not feeling it. Yeah. To the point where I was like, do I want to really do this? You know, I was just every day not feeling it, didn't want to train. I just hated it. You know? And I was like, what's happened to me, man? Yeah. What's happened to I'm known as this like hardworking guy that preps like a monk, and but I just kept sticking to my plan.
Yeah.
I knew it was temporary. I knew it would be temporary. I knew it wouldn't be forever.
All short term.
And then eventually just started swinging, and then I sort of got a little bit healthier, a little bit leaner again, and then I just started swinging, and now I'm just starting to get it back now.
I want you guys, as you're listening to this or watching this on the YouTube channel, to take a couple of things out of this conversation that's happening right now. The first one is everyone goes through periods of high levels of motivation, low levels of motivation, right? No one is immune to it. If this man sitting across from me is not a perfect example of that, he's come off the highest of highs and then experienced one of the lowest periods of motivation he's ever experienced. No one is immune to it. So everybody experiences this. It doesn't, we were talking the other day, like some of the most popular athletes on the world, some of the most popular, we were talking about like rappers and music performers and
Buddy Franklin, AFL players and stuff like that.
Everyone goes through it, and often the higher the high, the lower the low.
Yeah.
So whatever you're going through, not only are you not alone, not only does everyone else go through it, but most cases there's people that have been through much lower periods of low motivation than you have yourself.
Yeah.
The second thing I want you guys to take out of this is how action drives an increase in motivation. So I think a lot of the time people kind of find themselves in low levels of motivation and don't start with action. You have to start with just small baby steps. You said, you started getting out of bed earlier, 15 minutes earlier, 30 minutes earlier. You started tidying up your diet meal by meal. You have to start with action. And it doesn't have to be massive action. It needs to be small steps, one foot in front of the other. And then you start getting the snowball effect happens in the other direction. Yeah. Just as you snowball into a period of very low levels of motivation, you start with small baby steps, you start with small actions, and you start to get the reverse snowball effect of, now you're getting up out of bed earlier, now all of your meals are better, you're starting to feel better, you're back in the gym, and then you just, you start getting back to a point where you're firing on all cylinders. Yeah. I think that a lot of people, when they experience low levels of motivation, don't want to take action, and then they slip further into low levels of motivation because they, instead of what you take the sleeping, for example, you figured out you were sleeping too much. So you decided to peg that back, get up earlier. A lot of people would just go, well, fuck, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I might sleep more. Yeah,
or they turn to alcohol and drugs and things like that. So that,
mate, there's a million different
At least
things.
I didn't go down that path, but I know a few, I've watched a couple of podcasts before, a couple of tricks how to get out of this.
Yeah.
And then one of them was what I heard was that you started getting bed out earlier, and then little things like making your bed. So get out of bed earlier, make your bed.
Baby steps, man.
And when you're, for some reason, another one I read where when your room's clean and your house is clean and you make your bed, it makes you feel a bit happier.
Yeah.
So, when I was getting lazier and feeling sorry for myself, I started the same thing. I started just throwing clothes on the ground. I wasn't making my bed. Yeah. I was getting
the slippery slope.
A bit of a better life. Now I don't have to go to a concrete truck every day. I was like, I don't have to get up tomorrow in the morning. So I sleep in. I'd stay in my pajamas and work on my laptop till lunchtime. And that was just putting me in a shitty mood. So I started getting up earlier, making my bed, clean shaven, putting like a uniform on. Sometimes I put my PT uniform on when I wasn't really PTing. Yeah. And I go to the gym and start getting in proper routine again. Yeah. And then collectively, I just knew if I kept this up, I would sway it back. 100%. And that just started happening, So.
And you know what it boils down to, man? Like fundamentally, what it boils down to is making promises to yourself that you keep.
Yeah.
So when you're in that, you're sleeping in, you make a promise that, okay, tomorrow, instead of getting up out of bed at 8, I'm going to get up out of bed at 7:30.
Yeah. And I had a couple of days where I failed at it.
Of course.
I'm like, I'm going to get up early tomorrow, and then 100%. I failed.
Yeah.
This was the hardest I've ever had to get out of bed. Then I failed again, and then I was like, and I said to myself, I'm not pissed off enough.
Yep.
Again, and then I think I failed 5 days straight.
Yeah.
Then I got so pissed off.
Yep.
The 7th day or whatever, I got up at like 5 a.m.
Yep.
And I was angry, man. I got up and I was like, F this, I'm over this. Like, I'm really over it now.
Yeah.
You know, then I snapped, and that's why I think I put a post up about you're not pissed off enough.
Yeah.
And I got really pissed off. And then I did cardio, I got to bed, I made my meals. I was like, no more. That is it. That's the last chance.
That's the last straw.
You pushed me too far.
Man,
now.
I 100% feel you on that, because I've been in exactly situations where I was like, I'm just not angry enough about the current circumstances.
Yeah.
And when I got to that point where I was fucking pissed,
you snap.
That was the driver for me, and that sparked the action. And then as soon as the action started, and I started making promises, and I started keeping those fucking promises to myself, that's what starts the increase in motivation. And then that increase in motivation drives further action and further promises that you keep to yourself, and you start climbing the rungs of the ladder until you find yourself back where you are now. You're firing on all cylinders. You're back in a high level of motivation. You're ready to attack another fucking prep.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it happens. Another thing that you mentioned about the Olympia before we got into the motivation piece was you mentioned your age. So you said you're 31 at the moment. A lot of the guys you are competing against are late 30s, early 40s, and you and I have had a bunch of conversations over the last day or so about your long-term vision and just how you're very aware, and it's quite unique about you. It's very unique in the pro athlete ranks in this sport. Not many people have this awareness of, how much time you have to make an impact in the sport.
Yeah. But
you're also very aware of trying to make the most of that window. So a lot of athletes will kind of know, all right, I've got like a 10-year window, 15-year window, 20-year window, whatever it is, but I want to try and be the best I can be within like the first 5 years, and fuck themselves up.
Yeah, exactly.
Either physically, psychologically, don't set themselves up in the background, financially or with a proper support network. There's a lot of different things that go wrong, but there's just not that awareness of the long-term game. You're very unique in the fact that not only are you aware of the time period that you've got to kind of max out in this sport, but your patience in doing so. And I think it was real interesting that you mentioned your age compared to the other competitors who you're trying to get to that top position at the Olympia, obviously. Where does that come from? What kind of drives that mindset and that thought process?
I guess I just I've looked at a lot of the successful bodybuilders, and I'm sort of not delusional on how long it takes, and then if you're enjoying the journey, where I'm loving the journey, so I don't feel no rush at the moment to try and be Mr. Olympia in 2 years or whatever, and I know in this sport, if you can take your time and keep your body healthy, there's no doubt I'm excelling at the moment year to year at a pretty steep incline. So I'm happy as Larry to keep this same pace as long as I can keep it at this pace. So if I can stay healthy, I'm happy to keep going at this rate because I'm enjoying the journey on the way up. And I know, in regards of setting yourself up, like I'm so confident in where I'm going and if I look back at how quick I've come up, that's why I've planted the seeds. Like I've created a website, my brand, my coaching. I've got, a few businesses because I've planted all that so I can make sure while I'm on this come up that I'm financially capitalizing as much as humanly possible. Yeah. So if it does fall to shit, then I'm still set up. And if it doesn't, I'm, as I said, capitalizing as much as possible on the way up to ensure that I can do it for a long time. And, I'm happy. If it takes me till I'm 40, it takes me till I'm 40. It's my 9 more years, but I'm enjoying the rise up. So I'm just not delusional on how quick it takes. It's a long journey.
I think it's the difference in mindset about focusing on the destination and focusing on the journey. And I think, if one end of the spectrum is 100% focused on the destination and the achievements, and the other end of the spectrum is 100% focused on the journey, you kind of, teeter in the middle a little bit. Obviously, you're pushing for the destination, the achievements, and you know what you're trying to achieve, and you're well aware of what that's going to take, and you practice visualization, and you get to a state where you know what it feels like to be called out as as first place, as Mr. Olympia. But at the same time, you have this incredible appreciation for the journey that it's going to take to get there, and you're happy to play that journey in order to get to that destination. And I think that's probably what makes your mindset so unique. It's almost like, you kind of enjoy the marathon rather than the sprint.
Yeah.
Knowing that the finish line is there, right? But it's a much longer race than some people are really aware of.
Yeah, I think if you can fall in love with the journey, don't get me wrong, there's components of prep where it's like...
it's horrible.
It's like a hell that's not... They can't explain, but I enjoy being able to do that and do things that people don't want to do.
Yeah.
They think, like, he's crazy. How can you do that? I like to be that guy. People go, holy shit, like, how can you keep doing this? I sort of fall in love with the journey. And for me, most of the prep is pretty fun. Like, I enjoy being... It takes me about a month every prep to get to that mentality that I told you about. Yeah. And it reaches a height where I just feel like, I think I spoke about it in the last podcast, crazy productive. Like everything in my life just excels tenfold.
Yeah.
My business does, my sponsors and promoting sponsors does, like I have more income because I'm so productive. I'm like on another level. It's like I'm on the limitless pool 24/7.
Yeah.
And I like being in that zone, and that's just what I'm prepping. So I'm happy to keep doing that every year to year, because I'm just progressing at a very fast rate. Yeah. So regardless of what the finish line is, I'm happy just to keep doing that.
What advice can you give to athletes who perhaps don't have the same mindset? Athletes who are so focused on, and we see this a lot. In amateurs is probably the most magnified because, every amateur wants to turn pro and they want to turn pro as quickly as possible. And then when you get into the pro league, then there's a lot of pros who want to fucking win an Olympia title like within 2 years, as quickly as possible. And it's 100% destination focus, and they just don't have the awareness around building the foundation that's going to allow them to do that, because it's not going to happen in fucking 2 years. It's going to take 5 to 10 in most cases once you even become a pro to get to the top level of the pro ranks. Just no awareness of actually setting a foundation that's going to allow them to be physically healthy enough, mentally healthy enough, financially healthy enough to even travel that journey. What advice could you give? How do you start changing someone's mindset, changing someone's awareness around that?
Yeah, some of the athletes that come to me say that. They say to me, I want to be pro.
Yeah. I'm sure you get it a lot.
Quick. Sometimes it's pretty quick, man. It's like, I want to be a pro within 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm like...
And they haven't even competed before.
And I just say what I was like. As an amateur, my first goal was to win a show. Yeah. Plural. It was just a show at all, Yeah. And then it was just win Mr. Australia. Then win an Arnold Classic. And then I just loved competing. You have to love what you do. You have to love... Yeah. I feel like it won't last if you don't love it. Yeah. You have to love not to keep saying the same thing, but you have to love the journey. Like, I love my amateur career because I was winning a lot. I hardly ever lost. So who doesn't like winning? So I loved the amateur career. At some points I was like, I didn't care about being pro until everyone was literally saying it every time I competed. Oh, he should be pro. So you got to really, really enjoy that part of the journey,
You know how I like to think about, and I've had this conversation with a bunch of pro athletes who have a very destination focused mindset, is I get a piece of paper out and I draw a timeline and I go, all right, this is when you started competing. This is when you turned pro. That was the length of your amateur career. You are, 31, 33, 35, whatever the age is. This is physically, if you take good care of your health, how much time you have in the pro league. This is what the entire journey looks like. Do you want to make it to the end of that journey? Or are you going to do some dumb shit or not set yourself up with the correct foundation that allows you to go that full length? And instead of your pro career finishing at 42, you're done by the time you're 36. And I literally use a visual timeline and go, where do you want to fall? Where do you want to fall on this line? Because the way you're going at the moment, your pro career is over at 36.
Oh, that's just That's just...
Or whatever the fucking number is.
Some guys are just doing some stupid shit. But one thing that I'm big on, and I've spoken about this before, especially now that... But I was already big on it before he was born, but being a father. Yeah. But making sure I was healthy as possible. I've had 6 blood tests in the last 12 months. Yeah. And I'm very thorough with reading them and knowing what to do, and I get better at it. I take notes, what worked last time, what worked this time in regards of detox protocols and what to look for, what blood markers to look for. And like even my coach, he's he's very clued up. He's a scientist, so he gave me a couple of new markers that I wasn't monitoring, and I've really got it down pat. And once I realised, all right, I can do this. 3-4 shows a year is a big year. I can do that like I did this year, and I'm healthy as anything, which I am. I think, all right, that was perfect. Okay, I gained a couple of kilos of muscle. Then I realised I've got 5 more kilos to fill this division now to be my maximum size. So to be a big enough in that division, I feel I'm going to need at least another 4 years to be at the top of the weight. So that's why I'm just in no rush. And I'm happy, like, at this weight, at giving up 5 or 6 kilos, I'm still winning shows and getting top 10 at Olympia at 91 kilos on stage when I could be 96. So, and I refuse to rush it and damage my health. I will not do that. So
let me ask you a question. I haven't actually asked you this yet.
Yeah.
How long of a pro career do you think you're going to have? In your mind, when's it up? When's the time up?
I would like to go to at least 40.
Yeah.
You know, because like...
I knew you'd be able to answer it without having asked you that.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've asked a lot of other athletes that, and they can't tell me. They don't know.
Well, I'm having a ball at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not... I was tired after the Olympia, obviously, because it was a big year.
Yeah.
But like, I look at my mate Gally, who's one of my closest mates, Michael Gally. Like, he's just like me, and he's like 43.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, and he still seems young, and I would like to at least go to on 40. You know, at least like that would be a minimum, to be honest. That's why I'm in no rush. That's why I'm just like, man, I'm having fun doing this. Like, if I'm top 3 every pro show that I do outside of the Olympia, like, man, I'm happy to do that for 9 years.
Yeah. Just that focus on the journey is so powerful and so valuable, man. You should be very proud of yourself for that because it's very unique.
I guess what people need to think about with their case in regards of listeners listening to this is your journey may not be as fun as what mine was, because I talk about the journey being fun, but as my amateur career was, I was winning everything. So that was pretty fun. But you know, some of these listeners, you may need to eat a little bit more shit to get to the top. You know what I mean? Like Gary Vee talks about all that. You know, like your journey might not be as fun. So do you truly love the sport? Yeah. Because you might have to get whooped a few times for a while before 100%. You start coming up. And some people need to weigh that up. Are they in it for the long haul? Because they're going to have to do it even longer and harder. Yeah. Because if they're getting whooped at the start, it's going to take longer.
Dude, that's my. You just described my journey. It took me fucking 12 years to turn pro.
There's the girls like that, bikini athletes. I can name 3 right now. Yeah. When Shana Baker was one. I told her to come to the IFBB. I was the one that told her to come. She was a muscle mania girl. Yeah. And she come to the IFBB, killer physique. They were giving her like 7th, 8th, 6th, and I was like, damn. And I said to her, just stick to it.
Keep going.
She did 2 years of the worst placings. Then bang, wins pro card. Yeah. And like, she had to eat shit for only 2 years, but she was getting whooped every lineup, like getting pretty bad placings. Yeah. And then it happened. So
the journey. You
got to just enjoy doing it, or I don't think you'll ever last.
I want to dive into a little bit more business focus now, because you have a lot of exposure to a lot of different parts of business. Obviously, you have your own business completely outside of fitness, which is the concrete trucks. You then have your own, you got a couple of businesses inside the fitness industry. You have your coaching business, you have your own personal brand, which is AP, and then you're involved with a lot of different sponsors as well. Obviously, Massive Joe's and TMJ Apparel. You've got your food sponsor, you've got your skincare sponsor. You know, you've got a lot of balls that you're juggling in terms of the business side of things. Yeah. I want to talk particularly about the athlete sponsorship side of things, because I guess this is probably a product of your exposure to different types of businesses, and that the fact that you can put actually a business owner's hat on, you can put an athlete's hat on, you can put a brand owner's hat on. You're exposed to a lot of different parts of the industry and different types of businesses as well. Yeah. When it comes to athlete sponsorship, so one of the things, you know, I get hit up probably 5 times a week by athletes wanting sponsorship. Yeah. And you know, and through Massive Joe's and Team Joe Apparel, we have very defined guidelines of what we expect and what we look for in athletes. So most of them don't even get through the qualification process. But when it comes to I want you to give some advice to athletes, pro athletes, upcoming athletes who are looking to align themselves with sponsors. And that can be an apparel sponsor, a supplement sponsor, a food sponsor, whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. You're an athlete, you're looking to attract sponsors. How do you attract sponsors? Because you've done a fucking great job of it, man. Like, to be honest, not only is your current sponsorship spread probably one, if not the best, definitely one of the best amongst Australian pro athletes, but you've worked with a lot of different companies over a whole bunch of years, you know, and no one says a bad thing about Aaron Pilates. Yeah. It's all positive.
Well, that's point number one is your reputation is absolutely everything. So as an amateur, I guess, when you just want your first sponsor, you're going to have to not be delusional and not want a big sponsorship. You're going to have to probably start small, you know, and obviously the first thing you can do is to win some competitions or get popular on social media and then have a good reputation while you're doing that. So every person you talk to, that impression could last for wherever you are. So like you say, big companies will ask around everywhere that you've been, and they'll ask how you were to work with. And I guess because I've been a Sparky, different types of trades, drove concrete truck, I've worked for big companies. You know, you learn. I get a lot of life experience there. And how professional are you? You know, are you well spoken? Do you look good? Do you keep yourself well kept? Like, there's a million things that come into play. But in regards to the bodybuilding industry, like, number one, you've just got to be, I guess, popular and well known and well respected. You know, but it's another thing. What value, I've mentioned this before, but what value are you offering them? Like, you can't just be popular alone, because you have to be active, doing something interesting, giving value, either whether it be knowledge or anything. You could be funny on Instagram. Who knows? Like Blessing, I can't pronounce his last name.
I would. I don't know if that's correct. I'll just throw that out there.
It'd be really funny. But regardless, you got to, what do you offer, man? Like, and obviously, if you have respect, people are going to listen to what you say. But if you're a bodybuilder, in regards of being an amateur, one thing you must be, I feel, is you must be giving out constant information, educating. And if you don't have the education, you're going to have to be active. And that's in regards of active, I mean, you're going to have to be doing. I did all the shows when I was an amateur. So a good thing from a sponsor's perspective, as you would know, your engagement skyrockets when you compete, because that's the way.
There's eyeballs on you.
That's people are watching. Everyone's talking about you when they're in the gym with their mates. They're going, "Have you seen Aaron? Have you seen this? He's looking crazy."
Yeah.
They look at the phone. Everyone looks at the phone of you. It just goes snowballs. Yeah. So one thing you must be doing is active. So you got to be doing all the shows as an amateur. Yeah. And then even as a pro, in today's world, it's starting to get a little bit diluted. The fact of being. Let's just talk about the IFBB. Like, the WBFF is diluted beyond words. I don't even need to start that subject. Yeah. But let's just pretend the IFBB is the only federation right now. But back in the day, like I told you a while ago, an IFBB Pro was a huge deal. Like, it was like, I think I knew one or two.
Just to be able to call yourself an IFBB Pro had so much equity to it.
Yeah, like it literally back in the day. Yeah, just being a pro, it was like bang, big sponsorship straight away. Just because your name, you didn't even have to speak, look good, nothing. It's your pro. People pretty much, I'm not saying they throw money at you, but like it was a big deal. When I was coming up, I think I knew Luke Timms was like the only one that I knew because he was Queensland, and that was it. It's starting to get pretty popular, and there's a lot of pros. It's getting easier. There's more pro cards. So now the whole game is going to change. Being a pro is not going to be as much of a big deal. Yeah. Now it's like, who are the good pros? Who are the active pros? Who are the pros actually doing something, or actually winning, or doing something with the pro card? So it's almost like everybody's going to go back to amateur again, and who are the best? Just being a pro is not going to be enough now. Yeah. What value are you offering?
It's like the bar's almost been lifted. Yeah. I'm gonna read, because I get asked about this a lot, so I actually have a saved post in my phone that I chuck up on Instagram that literally is saved in my favorites. I'm just gonna read that. So the post is, what does it take to become a Team Massive Joe sponsored athlete? And this is just a reference point. So the first thing is, point one, you have to be an IFBB pro, a WBFF pro, or a high-ranking pro in any other federation. So from a business perspective, I still value that from a branding side of things. You're 100% correct. It's completely changed. It's completely diluted. But from a branding perspective, there is still a little bit of equity. If you can call yourself a professional athlete in, a pretty highly regarded federation, there is still value there from a branding perspective. Point 2, you have to either have a large digital footprint across multiple social media platforms or a large personal network with the ability to have real influence. People need to actually give a fuck about what you have to say, and there needs to be a lot of them. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You can't just have that fucking pro card and do nothing and not actually have any eyeballs on you, any attention, right? If people don't give a fuck about what you're doing, what you're saying, what information you're putting out, what shows you're doing, so on and so forth, it doesn't matter if you're pro or not. There's no value there.
Yeah.
From a business perspective, there's no value. There's no eyeballs on you. Point 3, you have to have a proven track record of being able to actually use your influence. So not just having the attention, but be able to use the attention for either your own personal benefit, the benefit of your sponsors. There needs to be some actual ability to use those eyeballs that are on you. You have all the eyeballs in the world. If you don't know how to fucking use that shit, it's completely invaluable.
Yeah.
4, you have to align with the Massive Joe's brand, our core values, and our culture. You have to be calm, friendly, and humble human being, not a diva or a dick. And we have to like you. We're going to be doing a lot of work together. That's obviously a big part of it as well. And you have a very proven track record of aligning with brands that you personally align with.
Yeah.
That's why you and I get along so well.
Yeah.
We just align on fucking core values and morals and ethics.
Yeah.
That's what we look for. Those are kind of my prerequisites. And, you know, it's no coincidence that you've kind of touched on a bunch of those points, but there's so many athletes who, it's funny, man, because I fucking, like, sometimes I'll, you know, if there's, I get hit up by an athlete, right? And on paper, they kind of tick some of these boxes, but then I kind of know, because I watch a lot, you know,
Yeah.
two eyeballs, one mouth. I do a lot of watching, a lot of talking. So I'll fucking watch a lot. And then I'm kind of like, yeah, okay, maybe you got this digital footprint, but you actually are really shit at engaging with people.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get back to any of the comments when people comment on your post. You know, you're not doing Q&As with people. You're not actually engaging with people. And I think there is it actually comes down to delusion. There's a lot of fucking delusional athletes out there as well that think they're ticking all these boxes, that think they're satisfying all these points that I just went through. Yeah. And I send them this. I literally send them. I'm saying, this is what we're looking for. You're not fulfilling point 2 and point 3. Or you're not fulfilling point 3 and point 4. And they think they are.
Yeah.
Where does, well, like, man, I'm fucking, you know.
Yeah, well, that's man, you can say that 1,000 times.
Yeah,
That's just,
yeah,
you've got to know where you're going too. Like, some of the athletes, it's like pros, a lot of the pros, it's like they've just graduated high school.
Yeah.
And they're like, so what are you going to do for a living? And they're like, I don't know. Because a lot of them just don't know what's going on now. They don't know that they might have a year off or 2 years off. They don't know if they're going to compete. Like, you got to be active. I feel like you got to be doing things, know where you're going. I'm going to do this show, that show. Throw it out there. Tell people I'm going to document it. I'm going to do this. And then you're going to have to go and back it up so people believe you. And once you get a reputation for that, your engagements skyrockets and then people that actually give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're not active with it or doing anything exciting, it's just, I don't understand. It's getting to the point where to get a sponsorship at all, you're going to need a pro card just to get in the door eventually. There'll be so many of them that'll just get you in the door.
Well, that's what it is with us.
Yeah,
that pro card gets you in the door.
Like, most people had sponsors were amateurs. There's only one pro. And the one pro had the big sponsorship. And
that's what I mean. Like, the bar's moved now. Yeah. Back before, like, if you were a pro, like you said, guaranteed sponsorship. No one gives a fuck. You know, there's that many eyeballs on you. No one cares if you don't know how to use it. You're a pro. There's enough value in that. Now the bar is lifted where the pro card, and this is breaking down this delusion. The pro card doesn't guarantee you fucking shit. The pro card gets someone like me who gives sponsorships to have a look at you. That makes me actually go and have a look. That gets you in the door. And then what do you do?
That's what I mean. It's a prerequisite to just have the card.
It's a prereq, man. 100%. I think, like, the one piece I'm gonna give my piece of advice as a business owner in the fitness space and you know, someone who gives the sponsorships to the athletes, and then I want you to give a piece of advice from an athlete's perspective. My piece of advice from a business owner's perspective is you need to come to the table with real proven value that you can add to the business who you're seeking sponsorship from. put yourself in the business owner's shoes and go, if I was in Joe's shoes or whoever the fucking business owner is, and I'm looking at giving sponsorship, why am I going to do that? Where is the value? If you can come to the table as an athlete with that prerequisite, pro card, whatever the fuck it is, and you can say, this is the value that I'm going to bring to your business. Here's the proof of how I do it, of how I'm going to add value to your business. Then you're going to get yourself a conversation with opening up some sort of sponsorship.
Yeah.
That's my piece of advice.
Or to put it simply, like, are people in a positive way, are people talking about you?
Yeah.
So, and don't be delusional, because a lot of them are delusional, man. Are people truly talking about you?
Yeah.
So
where's the proof?
If you're really getting some massive engagement and you're offering value everywhere, everyone around the country in the fitness is talking about you. Like, have you seen this? Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And the question they're going to ask themselves, how am I going to get people talking about me? But in regards to the bodybuilding world, you've just, the only real way is just to be active. You've got to be doing stuff. You can't just be on off season all the time unless you're really smart to the point where you're like someone like Eugene Teo or something, where you can offer crazy knowledge bombs. That's on YouTube channels and really start educating people. Then you can find that niche. But I don't think any of the pros, most of them, are on that level, because most of them are just genetically gifted.
Yeah.
The smart guys, So you really just got to be active and have people talking about you, I guess, and find out how to do that.
The last thing I want to touch on in this episode of Fitness Times Businessman is, and this is a common thing that's come, we've been talking almost an hour now. Almost an hour we've been talking is the way that you just, like, you keep your feet on the floor. You stay grounded. You stay level-headed. You don't get ahead of yourself. I feel like you're one of these, very similar to me, I feel like you're one of these guys that probably has a hard time actually smelling the roses a little bit. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get frustrated all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Not being as good as I want to be.
Yeah.
And even though some other people might think I'm really good, but I have times where my missus knows, because I tell her, like, I need to be better, I'm not good enough, and I can feel down, I guess, until someone walks up to me in the gym and says some crazy compliment, and I go, I'll snap out of it a bit, but I can get frustrated heaps of times, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So I want to just drill down on that as the final point of this podcast, because there's two sides to that as well, right? It's definitely an asset to stay grounded, to stay level-headed, because it's something that kind of drives progression. If you, and this is something I see a lot with top performers in the bodybuilding space, in the fitness space, outside the fitness space, is they don't actually recognize how good they are. And you are definitely a culprit for that. You don't actually take the time to recognize how fucking good you are, which is fantastic, because that tends to drive getting better and better and better. On the flip side, not stopping and smelling the roses, not, being proud of yourself for your achievements and continuously looking for the next achievement, the next achievement, the next achievement, instead of sometimes actually going, fuck, I'm really good at what I do, can also lead you to actually never being satisfied, never being fulfilled, and can be quite a dark place to be in. How do you strike the balance between those two things?
Yeah, I was going to say, you just got to find that happy medium. So I leave it to the other people usually. Like, I'm already moved on to the next thing straight away.
Yeah.
But then I have enough people that will walk up to me, and mates and like yourself, and go, holy shit, man, you did this year, you did that. And then I'll have a little moment where I'll go, shit, yeah, I did do that. And that's another reason why I created that garage.
Yeah.
You've seen I have like a wall of fame in my garage. Like, I got an idea of Jay Cutler. I've got every achievement of bodybuilding in my one garage. So when I'm on my treadmill, I look around the wall all the time. Like, there's one above me to my left is my first ever show. I was like 78 kilos.
Yeah.
And I won that show.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I think, shit. And then I look around to the other side and there's a pro show win. It's just, and you can see the progression as you walk around the garage as I get bigger.
Yeah.
So I sort of keep that as a reminder, a little motivator. I've got Olympia photos of like the OGs up there, and that sort of keeps me hungry, but also I can see the journey at the same time, keep where I've come from, and keeps me just in that happy spot,
it's something that I see a lot of people struggle with. To be completely honest with you guys, I struggle with it myself a lot because I'm always, it's strange because for someone like yourself and, I'm very similar as well, where we really enjoy the journey. We really, that's where it's at for us. Yeah. The achievements are cool and whatever, but we really enjoy the journey. But it almost doesn't really fit to actually not stop and smell the roses, to actually not stop and go, fuck, we've actually achieved some shit, man. But then it's a balance of, becoming too confident and having an ego, because you see that all the fucking time is people just get wrapped up in their own achievements and wrapped up in their ego and don't stay grounded and don't stay level-headed, which is the other end of the spectrum. But what piece of advice can you give to the listeners and the viewers who are kind of similar, who find themselves really not taking the time to be proud of themselves, to take pride in their achievements, to stop and smell the roses?
Yeah, well, I guess when it's all over, you got to have some time off and some time to soak it all in. And like me personally, every show I've done, I've got the photos and got them blown up into big portraits on the walls. Some of them cost you up to like $1,000 to get framed. And everyone's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, because I need to sit there. Not to mention the garage again, but I sit there all the time just staring at it like, wow, like you got to visually look at it. Yeah. With my trophies there, and I think, holy shit, like, and I take it all in for a couple of months while I'm usually detoxing and having family time, and I just soak it in as much as I can, and put the memories on the wall. My dad's got photos of me on the pro show stage behind his bar. Yeah. When I go, it's everywhere I go. It's in he's got about 4 now. Yeah. And I go there and he talks about it every time. Every friend that comes around there, he talks about it. Yeah. So I get plenty of time to soak it all in. Yeah. But I just know where it's like a race that I've already seen the finish line. I know where I'm at in the race, and it's still got a few laps to go. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like I know where it ends in my head. I know where it ends. Yeah. And I'm just like about halfway through the race at the moment. So I'm enjoying it so far, but I know where it finishes. So I'm like, yeah, it's good, but I've still got a while to go. Do you think that that's what helps keep you grounded as well? Is that awareness that we've spoken about a couple of times today already of the length of the journey? Like you know where it ends, right? Yeah, exactly. You know that. Do you think that that's kind of, because to flip the script, say you're someone who just gets wrapped up in tiny little achievements, and you build a little bit too much confidence that it kind of spills over into ego, right? And you're someone who has a lot of trouble staying grounded, who has a lot of trouble staying level-headed, because you just get wrapped up in all the positive achievements and the celebrations and so on and so forth. Do you think that being able to really appreciate that end point, that journey, so to speak, is something that helps keep you grounded? I feel like any time in my life where I've started to get too cocky, I've got a severe ass whooping. Like, really? Yeah. So it's personal experience. Yeah. Like, okay. As I said, when I was an amateur, to be honest, like I hardly ever lost. I don't think I ever got beaten in my career by an Australian in my class ever. No, I did. My second year as a novice, I won the first show, and I competed in the week later, same lineup, and the dude that I beat in his hometown beat me back. I was second, and that pissed me off my whole career. I was only a novice. But ever since then, I never lost to an Australian in my class. So I was really getting used to winning to the point where I felt like I was invincible. Yeah. I was like, the whole prep, I was like, 10 weeks till I win, Miss Australia, 8 weeks till I win. Like, I just thought it was in the bag. Yeah. And I just thought I was untouchable. Yeah. And then I won an Arnold Classic, and I almost won overall at 80 kilos. I lost by like 4 points against Atif, and I was only 80 kilos. And I thought I was unstoppable after that. And I started being, like Conor McGregor says, I started slacking off a little bit. You know what I mean? I started thinking, this is easy. I don't even have to. I was thinking in my head, I can do 10-week preps and still win. Yeah. And so I started getting really cocky. Yeah. And even my friends started to notice it. Like, I was like, no one's going to beat me. Yeah. And then 2016, no Australian beat me, but that was the worst that I ever looked. And then Ahmed Ashkenani and that come, and then I got my ass whooped. Yeah. And I was like, it's like I needed it. So is that where it kind of comes from? Is that when you find yourself getting a little bit too ahead of yourself? Because we all go through periods of that as well. Yeah, man, my shit doesn't stink. I'm pretty fucking good. Yeah. Is that kind of where you anchor it? Is go, be careful, because last time you went down this path,
there was an ass whooping up
Anytime
there.
I was overly this Conor McGregor style, like I'm going to whoop everyone, I've had a severe whooping back.
Yeah, okay.
So now I'm like, as a pro, I'm pretty, like I'm hungry when I'm in the gym, but I'm pretty humble about the thing, because especially as a pro, someone can come along and give you a severe whooping.
Yeah. So
it keeps me really grounded as a pro. I'm not over the top cocky, because it's just you're the small fish in the big pond now. But just my history. Anytime I've gotten over the top and started thinking I was next level, I got a whooping.
Something's coming across.
And it ended up doing me good. I needed it in the long run.
Well, look at what it's done to your mindset.
So if it happens, like I know that can happen. Don't get me wrong. I'm on this fast come up. I've had an unbelievable pro career. Yeah. But I said to my missus, I could be taking over the world this year, but I could just go to a pro show and get fifth or something, which to me is a whooping. Yeah. And then think, fuck. Am I going to quit after that? No, because it's still got 10 more laps of my race to go, because I know that could happen. If you're a pro, you can just get a fifth out of nowhere, no problems. Yeah. That would be heartbreaking, but that could happen. So
marathon mindset again.
So that just keeps me, whatever. I'll roll with the punches and I'll cop it. And if that happens, then it'll make me better. 100% will make me better. Yeah. I won't like it, but it'll make me better. Yeah. You know?
Aaron, thank you so much, man. It's been an absolute pleasure having you back on the podcast. Your first time on this format of the podcast, Fitness Time in Business. For the listeners and the viewers who are tuning in for the first time, where can they find you?
Instagram at Aaron Pilates. That's it. Just AARONPOLITS, and that's it. That's probably, or just Google Aaron Pilates. Yeah, just Google it. But that's the only social handle that I really. Yeah. I did start a TikTok. You started a TikTok too? Yeah, of course. Still trying to get my hands around it. Yeah, I think Instagram's still where it's at this point in time, but who knows? It seems like a lot of young people on TikTok, but I don't know. Yeah, but at Aaron Pilates, guys, if you've been listening, you've been watching, and you have experienced value from this podcast, I'm sure that all of you have, because it's just, whenever you and I sit down, sometimes we're like not recording the conversation and we're having a conversation like last night at my house. Yeah. I'm like, fuck, we should be recording this. There's so much goodness that comes out. But if you guys have been listening and you've experienced value in this podcast, we only ask one thing in return. This podcast is 100% free, no sponsors, none of that bullshit. The one thing we ask in return is that you share this podcast. Person to person, next time a conversation comes out about, a cool movie you've seen or something you listen to, a new song, whatever, throw this podcast in there, Fitness Time Business Podcast. Or what's really cool is if you take a screenshot of whatever podcasting platform you're listening to, iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is, post that screenshot in your Instagram story, tag at Aaron Pilates, tag myself at Joseph Metzell. We'll see those tags and we tend to reshare them as well because we appreciate the love. Am I right? Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So just share it around, guys. That's all we ask. Guys, you could have been anywhere in the world right now, but you're here with us. We appreciate that. Aaron, I appreciate you giving up your time for another episode of this podcast, man. Well, you know what's cool about these things? If we keep doing these and this keeps happening, you can refer back and think, holy shit, it's my master plan. It'd be cool to look back. You just give it away. It's like my master story, you look back and think, holy shit, this dude predicted this the whole way along. Dude, he was a visionary. Literally, while I was prepping for this podcast, I went back and listened to episode 18 of the Massive Joe Show, and you were talking about everything that fucking ended up happening at the end of the second half of that year. I'm going to keep doing it, and then in 4 years, people are going to go, man, he's telling the truth. This guy knows what the future is. Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Guys, until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Fitness Times Business Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, and if you enjoyed listening to this episode, make sure you give us a 5-star rating. Until next time, we'll catch you on the flip side.